In the recent years, Pilates has exploded in popularity. We see people everywhere getting into it, new studios popping up all the time, and social media has made it the workout. Pilates started to be presented as the solution to every problem. For example, you want to build muscle? Do Pilates. You want to become more flexible and mindful? Yep, do Pilates. You want to get rid of pain? Of course, do Pilates. But at the same time, Pilates became one of the most controversial workouts out there because it's no longer just a workout. It's about the image, the status, and who gets to belong. Which honestly makes the whole Pilates culture feel a bit toxic, and the recent content on social media only proves it over and over again. And so today I want to talk about what's wrong with Pilates and why the culture around it feels toxic for so many people. If you're new here, my name is Anastasia, and here on this channel we talk about social media trends, recent events, and all things wellness. And before we dive into some drama, I just want to remind you to like this video and follow me here on YouTube not to miss any future uploads, and of course to support my channel and support my work. And now get comfortable and let's already get started. So, what's wrong with Pilates? This is the question I've been asking myself for a while now. As I said, Pilates became one of the most controversial workouts out there because we really don't see this much drama around any other form of exercise, you know? First, we had someone saying that you shouldn't do or teach Pilates if you have a bigger body. Then we had a Pilates instructor who opened a brand new studio and made it very clear she wasn't there to welcome everyone. Then we saw a certified Pilates instructor getting attacked for calling out an uncertified influencer simply because she doesn't look like a typical Pilates girl. And now we have another Pilates instructor going viral for saying that Pilates is an exclusive form of exercise and that it's not for everyone, which, as you can imagine, caused some very intense reactions online. So let's take a look at this video and then we're gonna talk about it.
What are some words that you think about when you think of like a really nice designer brand? I think of legacy, think about craftsmanship. I know a lot of the products are probably like handmade. People check them over and over again to make sure the quality is there, okay? The design is there, and that's why we pay top dollar, we pay our top coins for these designer items, right? Like you would never walk into Bottega and be like, where's the diversity? Where's the accessibility? Babe, there is no accessibility. This is Bottega, okay? I want you to think the same way about Pilates. And I know a lot of us who've just gotten into this, or maybe we're new instructors, we haven't been trained. Pilates is a legacy, okay?
Listen, Pilates is an amazing form of exercise. I mean, I have nothing against Pilates. I love doing Pilates myself. I post my own workouts, right? But the problem with people talking online is that they often say things without doing any research first, you know, without actually knowing the background. And so naturally, one of the first arguments that started coming up online in response to this video was the history of Pilates. You probably heard it already if you're active on social media, but for those who don't know, Pilates was created by Joseph Pilates to help people recover from injuries, build strength, and just move better, you know. It was meant to be functional, accessible, and adaptable to different bodies and needs. Moreover, one of the first people trained in his method was a black woman, Kathy Stanford Grant, who is still recognized today as one of the very first Pilates instructors. So whatever this Pilates instructor is saying in her video is just incorrect, you know, because Pilates has always been diverse from the very beginning. It was never meant to be an exclusive aesthetic-driven workout. And as you can guess, we got an apology video from this Pilates instructor in which she said that it was not her intention to hurt anyone, but she understands that the intention doesn't erase the impact. She also mentioned that her mission had always been to share her passion for Pilates, especially with women, because she cares about them. And this Pilates instructor added if she made feel anyone that Pilates wasn't for them, then she had literally failed her mission. And honestly, she kind of did, right? Because first of all, people did not really buy an apology, and secondly, they still remember and discuss the first video. And even though I believe it's important to call out people like this, I personally think the problem isn't so much with the instructors themselves, but with modern Pilates culture in general, because those instructors are just a direct product of that culture. I mean, on the one hand, we can see more and more people getting into Pilates thanks to all this hype around it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Because movement is really beneficial for us. But on the other hand, the commercialization of Pilates pushed aside its original ideas, and Pilates stopped being just about movement and health and became more about who gets to do it, who gets to teach it, and whether you fit a certain aesthetic. And of course, this aesthetic comes with a bunch of attributes that define whether you belong: matching outfits, a perfect bun, glowing skin, trendy beauty products like Rode, beautiful aesthetic studios, matcha, and so on. Which not only turns a simple workout into a checklist you have to follow, but also gives you this impression that by purchasing all these attributes, you're somehow entering this exclusive community. Add to that expensive Pilates classes, subscriptions, premium classes, and even Pilates clubs with different levels you cannot enter without approval. And so it becomes clear that Pilates stopped being just an accessible workout, It became this luxurious space with its own rituals and rules.
Who goes to Club Pilates and has the same problem that I'm having? First class, I show up, 7 a.m. class. No instructor ever shows up. We're freezing outside. It was like 20 degrees, and we all waited until like 7:20 and then went home. Nobody said sorry. Nobody said anything. It was like it never happened. Second class, I actually get to go, and I'm like, wow, this is really easy. Let me go to the harder class. Also ends up being super duper easy, so I'm like, let me go to the next level. I register for it. A couple days later, 2 hours before the class starts, I get a phone call and they say, you can't just sign up for this level. You have to be approved through an instructor. I go back to the other level. The instructor will not approve me. So now I'm just trying to use up this freaking package because I'm over it. Just now, go to another class. I had to be at the same level, right? Because that instructor wouldn't approve me to for the highest level. Same instructor today. I try to make it harder and add extra resistance to the thing, and she tells me I'm not allowed to do that. What?
Another major problem I have noticed in modern Pilates culture is the toxicity of its community, So many people share stories about feeling judged, excluded, or even shamed in Pilates spaces, which is obviously not okay. The pressure to look certain way, to move certain way, or behave certain way creates an environment that is stressful instead of supportive, which is completely opposite of what fitness should be.
Is it just me, or why do Pilates studios give such mean girl vibes? Like, I love Pilates. I have been like a big fan for a really long time, and I've gone to, hundreds of studios around the world. But like, especially in the States, it gives such mean girl energy. Recently, I haven't really gotten like nice vibes from even like the people who work there, like the receptionist or the instructors. Like, it is so mean girl coded. They either have their favorites who are like regulars who come all the time and they like crack inside jokes, but like they don't acknowledge any newcomers or say hi. They just say like, what's your name? And then talk to you super like blunt and like not friendly. I just feel like the vibes are like not what they used to be or could be.
I mean, she's definitely not alone in feeling this way, because many people share experiences of that mean girl vibe. For example, some people say they always wanted to try Pilates but got intimidated by the studios. Or for instance, other woman mentioned a Pilates instructor who makes content complaining about her students. Like, are you kidding me? Some people complained about instructors completely ignoring them during the class. For example, not helping them to correct the technique, not adjusting the reformer, or not even saying goodbye after the class. In some studios, instructors don't allow to take breaks or drink water, which is just crazy, And of course, the core problem is that people are constantly being judged for their bodies, their size, their skin color, even their sexual orientation. For example, someone wrote in the comments, a Pilates instructor once told me and my then partner that we were fat and needed to lose weight. Another comment said, an instructor told me I struggle with exercise because I was all fat and no muscle, which just makes me so sick, it blows my mind. Like, who do you think you are to say something like this? Like, why would you say even something like this, Okay, you have your opinion, but keep it to yourself. No one asks you to express it, This makes me so angry. Like, what the hell is wrong with people, When women are considered big, they're told to exercise, right? When women are trying to exercise, trying to lose some weight, they're told they're too big to do that. Like, there is no way to win, You're always gonna be judged. Like, what the hell is going on? And that's why a lot of people are avoiding working on themselves and their bodies, because who wants to feel that way? No one. Pilates, like any other sport, should be about health, movement, and feeling good in your body, right? Not about how you look in leggings. This toxic environment discourages people instead of supporting them. It turns what should be a space for self-care and growth into a place of judgment and stress.
I was doing Pilates in Santa Monica, and the instructor instructor asked before class if anyone had any injuries that she should be aware of. I raised my hand and told her quietly that I had a major lower back injury last year, so I would have to be careful with certain positions. She smiled and nodded and then got back on the microphone and said to the entire class, "You know, the great thing about Pilates, ladies, is that Pilates makes you slim, and when you're slim, you don't have lower back issues."
And this brings me to another issue, the way Pilates is presented today. As I said in the beginning, Pilates is no longer just a good workout, it started to be presented as the solution to every problem. You want to build muscle, you do Pilates. You want to get rid of pain and be more flexible, you do Pilates. You want to have that perfectly sculpted aesthetic Pilates body, of course you have to do Pilates, which not only sets unrealistic expectations, but also is pretty misleading.
Because I've been going twice a week for about a year now, and
it's finally happened. Just checking in on all the girls who thought they would quit the gym and move to Pilates because they thought it was better for building muscle. How you going?
Listen, Pilates is a wonderful workout, it has so many benefits. It helps you to strengthen your core, improve your posture, get rid of pain, recover from injuries. It even helps you to become more mindful and more connected to your body, right? But at the same time, it's not a magic solution that helps you to solve every problem. For example, if you want to have that lean, toned, aesthetic body, not only you need to lift weights, but also you need to manage your nutrition. Not just for losing weight, but also for building muscle. If you want to improve endurance and your heart health, you need to do cardio. If you want to be mobile, flexible, and less prone to injuries, you need to work on your mobility separately. Because, for instance, when I first started doing Pilates, I kept injuring my back all the time, because my body simply wasn't mobile enough. It was so bad to the point that I couldn't stand up or sit down by myself. Only when I started to do mobility workouts separately was I able to do Pilates without hurting myself, And that's why if you will check my workouts here on YouTube, I focus a lot on mobility, because Pilates itself is just not enough. Moreover, let's not forget that everyone has different genetics, which is why not everyone can get that Pilates body, right? Pilates is a wonderful workout on its own, but as I said, it's not the solution to everything. All types of exercise are equally important because they help you to achieve different goals. And so if you want a healthy, strong, and beautiful body, you need to work on it in a full spectrum way. Well, to finish this podcast, I just want to say that Pilates is not an exclusive workout or a status symbol, it was never meant to be. Pilates is just a workout created to help people move better, recover from injuries, and feel stronger in their bodies. And for Pilates to grow and evolve, it needs to stay accessible to everyone, meaning it should be affordable, inclusive, and welcoming to all bodies, sizes, shapes, and backgrounds, just like any other sport. Because all this hype around Pilates and this desperate need to belong actually distract people from what this method is really about, moving better and feeling better.
Where's the diversity? Where's the accessibility? Babe, there is no accessibility. This is Bottega, okay? I want you to think the same way about Pilates.
Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. If you have your own positive or negative experiences with Pilates you would love to share, just feel free to leave them in comments, because I think everyone, including me, would love to read it. Also, don't forget to like this video and follow me here on YouTube not to miss any future uploads, and of course to support my channel and support my work. And today I want to wish you to find that kind of moment you truly enjoy, the one that makes you feel good, inspired, and strong. Of course, have a beautiful, beautiful day, and I will see you in the next one.